Hi, my name is Stacy and I'm a lecturer at Aichi Daigaku in Toyohashi. I teach in the English communication program. The goals of this program is to help students increase their ability in speaking English in a natural conversation. In consideration to the goals of this program, I've designed the basic conversation sheet as a guide for students to move smoothly through a natural conversation, taking into consideration these 5 steps. Students are encouraged to use all of the English that they've been passively absorbing throughout their junior high school and high school years and putting it into practice in these communication English classes. So this basic structure for the conversation is a guide to help them move through conversations naturally and really understanding when to ask questions, when to ask follow-up questions, how to change the topic, and how to include everybody in the conversation. Given the goals of the Communication English course, I've decided to use conversation tests. Testing communication abilities is not easy and it's very time consuming. So as opposed to the written tests, I use conversation tests. In preparation for these conversation tests, students are given 90% speaking time every class. The students practice in groups of 2, groups of 3, groups of 4, and groups of 5. They practice the topic of the day. They use the textbook as support, and they are free to come up with their own questions as well as using questions from the textbook. There are 3 conversation tests every semester. The first conversation test is done in pairs. The students know their partner, they are allowed to choose their partner, and they have time to prepare, practice, think of topics, follow-up questions. The first conversation test is only about 4 to 5 minutes. The second conversation test is done randomly with another class. So maybe 2 students from my class, 3 students from another class. The students don't have much time to prepare, but they can practice on their own. These second conversation tests are a little bit longer in time. So the students are talking for maybe 6 to 7 minutes. And the groups are a little bit bigger, maybe 5 to 6 students. The final conversation test is about 8 to 10 minutes, so it's a bit longer. The students are really forced to ask more questions, follow-up questions, use their intonation and gestures for a longer period of time. The groups are also considerably bigger, 6 to 8 people. So everybody in this group has to speak, has to say something, which is very interesting to see. The conversation tests are graded using this sheet. As you can see, there is enough place for the teacher to write good points and bad points so the students can improve and understand their strengths and weaknesses. For the conversation tests, the group is given the same points. So everybody in the group has to really pull together and try and help each other out, because what you do really affects the other people in the group. Some students do really well and are very motivated once they find out the scoring is done as a group. However, some students are so caught up in making a mistake that they forget to speak, which also affects the group negatively. So there are good and bad points to this. Although communication tests are a great way to test communication abilities, it is, however, time consuming, and for teachers with bigger classes, for example 30 students or more, it could be time consuming and you might run out of time. So unfortunately, being organized and scheduling the times might be a bit difficult to do. Another downside to the conversation tests is that it might not seem like a natural situation. Because the students have practiced it so much, it might lose the authenticity. I hope you enjoyed my presentation about conversation tests. I do hope you try it. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me and I will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you for your time.